just like so. And then the shapes, when you're making a finial, you want it to have a nice flowing shape. I was at a club last week and it had these big globs here. They were the same, but they were just globs. It didn't look good at all. And even this part. So you want it to flow down. This is an icicle. And that's what you're trying to make, is an icicle. So you want a nice flow to it. You don't want to have steps in it and jumping all over the place. And then these are onions. And that's the same thing. So it's a nice ball here, and then it flows back down to the next set of, and then it flows back down. And then the top is like that. And again, I got that, the ball is right here, that's the onion, and then I let it taper out to the end here. And that's the finial I make. And then this one is made out of this wood. I want to make sure I could do it. And so I should be able to get both of these out of this block of wood. So, you want to see these?
Do you keep the fat pieces on the ends or in the middle?
You have to watch.
He's jumping the gun.
First thing I want to do is make it round. First thing I want to do is make it tight. That's a rough and bowl gouge. No, it isn't. And you should have corrected me right away. It's a spindle gouge. It's a roughing spindle gouge. You may just take off a lot of wood real fast. And that's the bevel. We talked about the bevel. They come up on the bevel, nothing happens. As soon as you hit the bevel, now you can come up to your cut mark. And then it's going to cut. And this is a jacket that people wear when they turn. It keeps the stuff from all over. And you're not as dirty. And somebody was talking about wet wood. And if you notice this is all sprayed from wet wood. That's where it's all stained like that, because it was soaking wet. So that's pretty much all I turn. Now that roughing. And that's a skew. And because you're doing this, why not have fun and practice with the skew? And the skew is to come back, same thing. Nothing's ever going to happen on the bevel. As soon as you bring it up off the bevel, now you touch your cut knife. And that's a much smoother cut. That's what's nice about these. And if you hear that noise, pop, 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 that's because it's not round yet. So the tool is hitting those, say, flat spots, and that's the noise you're hearing, the flat spots. But that's round enough.
You lost the center.
I really wish I brought mine, because then you would see how nice it is to have a nice safety one. No, I got it. We're
I
good.
always bring it, and today I was, no, we don't need that.
I had it, and it's the only thing I think I forgot so far.
I think you could tell everybody what it is, though, for people that wanna know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty much a drive center like so. And this should have a little pointy thing in the middle here. So that way I could have pushed that tight, and it doesn't spin. The drive center doesn't spin like that. It's a solid piece. So when this turns, and then you just push it up against that. And if you get a catch, it just spins on that. And it doesn't fly away, it doesn't catch. Like with that prong, those prongs, if it catches, then it's gonna dig in and it's gonna stop. Versus if it catches, it just spins and it doesn't hurt anything. So it just makes it for a safer way to do it.
And what did you call that? The one, the better one, yeah.
It's a cup drive center, is what it is. And, but there's a little point in the middle there. So actually, it's the same thing as this, except in having 4 prongs, it has a cup.
Okay.
And then it spins on the cup.
But then Mike Murray also uses a different style, I don't know what the name of that one is, but for spindle turning. Do you know what the name of that one is, Roland? The one that Mike brought in?
I don't remember what he had.
Yeah, just, is Mike still here?
No, he left. There is one that's called a safety center.
It's a safety center for spindle turning, and it's just a pointed bar where the wood will spin on it versus that. But those safe drives for spindle turning are, if you're learning to use the skew. You want one of those.
And I only need 4, now I got some flats here, but as long as I attach it to the round areas, then it's fine. So I just make sure that the flats are in between the drawers. I'll bring this up.
Yeah, no, that's it.
And this is again, a spindle gouge, but this is more for a finishing cut versus the roughing gouge. So this makes for a nice, see I got all this tear out, I won't have that with this. Next thing I want to do is, you've seen the ones with the shoulder on it, so I want it to fit in this hole. So it doesn't have to be real snug, but I just want it to be somewhere near, so that way, in the event that something gets loose, it's not going to flop all over the place. And it makes it easier if they're both relatively, and then when I put them together with the dowel, there's a 1/4-inch dowel between there, I glue them together and I just squish it tight, and it makes it work nice. So first thing I'm going to try to do is get that size. And this is called the potting tool. And there are some people that can actually do this when it's turning, but I don't, there's no way, because that thing is gonna jam me right in the
Yeah.
head. And that's why I won't do that. But some people do it.
You know, another way to do that, Roland, is if you have if it's a standard size, you use an open-end wrench.
Yeah, but the shells are always different.
Yeah.
That's the way they are. So what I did is I put that little shoulder there, so that's the size I want, so now I can just go to that, and it'll be perfect. And you can actually take a potting tool and catch this edge and walk it across, and you get a nice cut all the way across. It's not always for going straight in. You can, you know, once you get it, then I get a nice surface. So, what I want to try now, that's perfect. I can live with that. So that's what you should have. It can be looser, it doesn't matter. You don't want it to be tighter, because then you break it, right? So, next thing I do, this is a 1/4 inch. And I use a 1/4 inch drill because I use a 1/4 inch dowel. And that means they fit in pretty good together like that. Close. I do that just so I know that I went deep enough. As long as you go deep enough. If you don't go deep enough, it won't work so good.
You know, 1/2 inch or something.
That much. I don't measure. I don't measure anything with these. I just make them. The only thing I do is I make sure, but again, I don't know what size that is. I just know it fits in that hole.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I use this cone, because the cone will go in that 1/4 inch hole. This thing here won't find it, and it won't be so good. So I like the cone for doing what I'm going to do next. No, because somebody's got them out there, you'll be able to see how I'm going to start shaping this here, right here. Okay, that's pretty much what I got right here. So basically, I'm just going to start making the shoulders. So I know there's a lot of wood here that I can just get rid of right now. Well, I'm not going to get rid of it all. I like to have solid wood here, so that way it just makes, as this gets smaller, it's always against something solid. So I'm just going to scoop that out. And you can see when I scoop it out, I drop it in and put a nice little cove there. And I do it with this tool.
So I know I can get rid of this much wood. It's just now I want to just come up near that shoulder. And now this is our detail grouch, little fingernail grouch. And then I can use this just like the skew. Then I can actually just come back up here and roll it over till I get a cutting edge. And then I can just walk that down. Now that gives me an idea where I want those 3 rings. And then now I can take the skew again. And the skew, when you're going in, if I'm going on this shoulder, I want to keep it tilted off that shoulder. And that way I get a nice shave all the way down. And then I flip it over and then when I'm on that side, I make it short. So I'm only cutting with that edge. So I can come back in here, lift it up. And I want the bottom one to be smaller than the top one, or at least them to be straight. I don't want it to get bigger as it goes down, because icicles never get bigger at the bottom. They're always big at the top and they drop down. And that's what to keep in mind when you're doing it. If you're just making an icicle. make that onion. Use this to get rid of most of that. Get rid of most of my wood, now I can get back in here and do a little bit of. Now I have this tool, just like that, and I'm just cutting on that edge. So it's just shaving, that's all I'm doing. So the same thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come back up to the top here, roll it over, once I find that cutting edge. Some more of this wood. And now I want to put 3 more rings here. And you want that set of rings to be smaller than the top rings. You see that shoulder right here? I'm going to make that small. Now, when you're going across the tops of those rings, you want to go careful, otherwise you're going to get a lot of tear out. So if you just approach it nice, and it'll clean itself up and it won't be too bad. You want this onion to be smaller than the one on the top. And when I'm cutting, I'm not pushing a lot of pressure against that piece of wood. I'm letting that cutting edge go across and float across that piece of wood. If I started pushing too much like that, it snaps off. And then you won't be happy. Unless that's what you were trying for. And if that's what you're trying for, you'll be mighty happy. But I try not to snap them off. And when I do put pressure, it's always against that hunk of wood that way.
What was causing that?
I have no idea. I know. It wasn't me. I have no idea why I was doing that. At the bottom, I'm going to put 2 rings. And what the spew does is gives me that nice depth. Nice depth where the ring is. putting another onion right there, but this one's a real small one. A little blue. Get this sanded out of the way because there's still got a lot of wood on that block, so you don't have to worry about breaking anything. Right, good one. And this for this. You want to put an undercut over here. And you want to put that undercut as soon as you put that little pin in there. Because it just makes it squirt. But, I forgot. So that should be pretty nice for a second. Let's see. never cut like this at home. I just can't get that rest to go down as low as I want it, because I'm usually over here. So it's just the way it is. And I like to put a little raindrop at the bottom of that icicle. And that's what we got right there. Now it's still together.
Couldn't spin that off and catch it?
And now, I'm gonna put this to one side, it's not done yet, I'll put it to one side, and then I'll come back to it, but now I'm gonna finish this top. I don't need this right now, but it's giving me a point, so when I put my drill in, it'll have a place to travel.
On top, I believe.
Okay, thank you very much. Gives me an idea how size that supposed to be.
Yeah, you can take that potting tool and just walk it across. Yeah, it actually gives you a pretty nice edge by doing that. I already put my undercut like I was supposed to. I forgot to do that last time. And now when I put this against here, I look at the nubs. I look at those nubs and I try to figure out what diameter this should be. So when it fits, it should fit nice. So I know I can take off this much. Oh, this one. You can take off that much and still have enough. So I'm going to take at least this much off. I'll probably go about so, like so. Because you don't want the top to be too big.
Do you ever have to grind down the nubs? Or do you work it out
Only
so you
at the
don't have
very
to-
end. Like this one here, you'll see where the inside nubs I cut down. And the same thing with the bottom. Just, that's the final fitting is when I'll start taking those nubs off. But because I've done some, I know if I left that too big, then I'd have to be taking out these big nubs. So I just make sure that when it fits almost flush. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as it comes pretty close, it's fine.
What do you use to take those off?
A file and a chisel. And if I had a carving tool, I would carve them off. And if I had a rotary, what is?
Dremel.
Dremel
I
still
would
works
do-
good
I
on
would
those.
I'd take them
I
off
got
like
one of
that.
the minis from Harbor Freight that was like on sale for $5.
Oh, wow.
And with one of their little kits for, another $8 with all the diamond tips
Yeah.
and the grinding wheels. And I found that works because you can get very, very close and you can see what you're doing.
Yeah,
Sometimes I've only had to take off half a nub where it just fits in.
right, and that's
I've
what,
been able-
I'll wind up doing that too, where I'll just take off the half a shoulder.
Yeah.
So the nub is still high on the outside, but it just still drops in.
Different colored boxes, but we've got different kinds in here. We do have white, pale purple, pink, and green as a base color. But then he adds different colored epoxies to bring some splash.
Get another one out of there, Roland.
Now I can do it. I can finish it now.
Roland, is that, those pen jaws, or are those a little bit different than?
I have no idea what they're called. They're long drawers.
You got, there's 6 of them on there.
I think there's a pin
No.
jaws.
They might be pin drawers, but I think they're bigger than pin. I think pins are thinner for, they're smaller. I think, I could be completely wrong. What I usually do is I'll have that center there and I'll just put a little hole there, poke it so it gives me a place to head towards. I'm just gonna wing it. And then what I do is I'll put a little bit of CA glue in that hole. And then this just gets cranked right in nice. And I would actually dress this up a little bit more. So I'm not going to do it because I do not have a mask on. And I don't like swallowing dust. And no one here should. So that's the top. And now and you want to kind of hold it because it's going to want to. And I'm just rounding that off and making it look nice. It's running pretty true. Sometimes I really walk out. And if you go on YouTube, you'll see people like Cindy Drozier. She does most people who do finials stop here and work their way to the top. Because when they do that, there's always solid wood behind. Whereas I start with the solid and wind up with no wood. But that's because I need that. And I like to have my hole, and I also, it gives me control over how long I can, as I'm turning it, I can decide how long I want it. If I started from here, then I know I have to end here, because I already put this here, and, you know, so this is all done, so I have to go that way. If you're trying to make toothpicks, the finials that are the size of toothpicks, then you have to go from this end that way, because there'll be too much flopping around, and it will snap on you. But I'm liking to make finials like this that go on these urchins, and I want them to last a long time. So if they were just that really skinny toothpick, then chances are they're gonna break. And then guess who will break it? The little kid, and then the little kid gets yelled at, and then it all started with me, and I want that. So, and that's pretty much how I make them.
Good.